after an apocalyptic event that wipes out 95% of humanity, people are forced to survive high in the mountains to escape a threat. Although a sick son will make a man risk his life to get his medicine. That's why today Elevation. Remember that if you like the videos, you can support the channel by liking, subscribing, and turning on notifications. It's free and really helps me keep growing. Let's get started. After a strange event in which creatures appeared from beneath the earth, which they called blinding ones, all the countries in the world turned to the army only to discover that bullets did nothing to them. Until the people living in the mountains reported that the subterranean beings didn't reach there, causing everyone who could to climb to the top of the mountains to survive. Now, 3 years have passed since the event where we meet Hunter, a small boy who went down further than allowed in order to see other kids playing. Upon hearing a strange noise in the forest, he must quickly run to the border to prevent the chasing monster from taking him away. Later, he arrives at his village and tells his father, Will, about his experience. Will scolds him, knowing he crossed a forbidden line. Since he is sick, it is even more dangerous for him to be exposed to the creatures. Then, the man goes hunting with his friend Katie, telling her what his son did to see other children at a neighboring camp. Since he is the only person of his age here, he has no one to play with. Then, the girl explains to him that it's normal as many see the mountain as a prison, including her, because she wants nothing more than to get out of here. To which our protagonist clarifies that it wasn't just to see other children, but because beyond that part of the border, it was the last place he saw his mother. On the other hand, we meet Nina, who used to be a scientist and now makes bullets in the hope of discovering how to penetrate the scales of the blinding ones. Indeed, much success. And as night falls, our protagonist dreams of his wife when she told him that he couldn't risk a suicide mission. But he ends up waking up because he has to change Hunter's oxygen as he can't sleep without it. Unfortunately, it's the last attack they have left, so he has to prepare an expedition. Despite the fact that the last people who went out to look for supplies haven't returned yet. Later, he buys macaroni and cheese for the kid's birthday, as it's his favorite, and he wanted to give him something special. But the boy is only thinking about the expedition because they can't even use the radio to contact the others. In a scene change, Katie brings something to drink to remember her life before being trapped here, because the boy used to spend his weekends at a golf club, which, despite not being his style, is what his wife's parents like to do. Nina repeatedly tests ammunition without success. Afterward, she studies a map to plan a potential route across the border. And then he visits the girl to tell her that he will soon go to a town beyond what is allowed. She sees it as a suicide attempt since it's impossible to survive. However, Will explains that he knows a path that might not be so dangerous, only that it's through a mine where she worked before. And since she is the only person who has survived the underground creatures, would she like them to go together? Because outside the border there is a hospital that possibly has her son's oxygen. The subject insists he owes it to her because his wife died believing in her. He said that if he could get to his old laboratory, he would find a way to eliminate the blinders. But things didn't go as planned because she was the only survivor. Despite this, Nina insists that going back is not possible, as the hospital is likely full of monsters. The next day, he leaves someone to take care of the child to look for special equipment, just when Katie discovers it because he thought about leaving without telling her. So she also takes up arms because she won't leave him alone outside, especially if he's going with Nina. The woman, upon seeing her, tells her to stay because she has never seen a creature like her before, nor does she know what they are capable of, since nothing they do can save them. So she must be prepared to die because she will surely be the first to do so. However, the three start the journey with tension in the group, because when the scientist says she would like to go to the lab where she used to work, the other girl thought she was just a teacher, even though she explains that teaching others is a waste of time, causing Will to get upset because she should be nicer during the trip. Then they check one of the nearby holes where the monsters came out, although Nina explains to them that they are safe because she designed a device capable of locating them, since the creatures generate a magnetic field stronger than any other animal, which she can track using a compass that she herself altered. So they decide to cross the border relying on the device to get to some military vehicles, where they find a grenade launcher along with useful ammunition. At the same time, the scientist gets another blinder scale that she wants to take with her. Since it's time-consuming, Katie proposes leaving it there as she doesn't require it, until she replies to stop messing with her, when she really just wants to sleep with Will, which causes a fight between the two that the boy has to break up. Later, they come across a herd of horses living in freedom. Without humans to tame them, the creatures remain calm and fearless, seemingly uninterested in their presence. Then they come to a chairlift that people use to climb the mountain, which could help them reach the border sooner than expected. Only they will have to hurry because one of the subways is nearby. So Will does his best to activate the mechanism while Katie uses a grenade launcher, only gaining a few seconds, because not even the explosion hurts it. And then, when does our protagonist manage to activate it? He and Nina climb onto one of the chairs to continue shooting, while the girl scales a tower, having to jump towards them. But when they are almost at their destination, the monster sabotages the zip line, making them fall, then runs to the line, leaving them just a few meters from certain death. Now they spend the night in a house trying to relax a bit. At the same time, they wonder what purpose the creatures have on the planet. This prompts the scientist to explain that from the day they appeared, it took them a month to eliminate 95% of the human population, which is strange, as they don't even stop to feed on the bodies. While sleeping, the protagonist remembers his wife asking him not to go on the mission, calling it a whim, from his friend Nina, who wanted the recognition of being the first person to eliminate a blinder. And even though she wanted to take advantage of the trip to look for oxygen for the hunter, he explains that he has enough for one more year of treatment. Even though during that time the creatures would still be where they are now, what difference does it make? The following day, they reach the mine Will mentioned, stating that a section descends at the border, but the exit will leave them above, which is a safe enough path. Until the girl realizes it's a lie because the tunnel spans 200 meters under the border. Nothing assures them that there are no blinding lights there, as they are designed for places like this. However, it's already too late to turn back, so they continue knowing that they won't even be able to detect the danger because the special compass doesn't work underground. But further ahead, they encounter a blocked door, which forces them to go even further down, despite how dangerous it may be, because the boy won't go home without the oxygen for his son. And then they go to some stairs, where Katie asks for a moment to reflect, taking the opportunity to chat with the scientist to relieve some of the tension, telling her that the day it all started, her boyfriend hit her after an argument, causing her to hit him with a frying pan before stealing his car, to drive as far away as she could right towards the mountain where the camp is located. In fact, when she found out about the chaos in the city, she kept going until she found the shelter where she has stayed since day one, meeting Gene Will and his family. Although the boy interrupts them because it's time to go down to what will be the hardest part of the journey. Further ahead, they encounter another obstacle, forcing them to run, leading them to a dead end where the only option is to hold their breath. According to Nina, they can track the carbon dioxide that people exhale. And at that moment, one of the creature's antennas comes in to inspect the place, being distracted by a flare, giving the team time to find another exit, which Katie doesn't hesitate to go through, not knowing it would lead them back to the same hallway they came from. Coming face to face with the monster, unable to do anything to avoid dying. Then, the others continue until they find other stairs that lead them to an exit on the border. So, after suffering the loss of their friend, they move on to a house where they have dinner with Hunter's favorite food to talk about their situation. But when they mention his wife, the scientist says that she really loved her, just like Katie in a way, since both died following her. So when asked what's important in her lab, the girl explains her theory that the scales of the blinders have a certain electrical charge. So combining a bullet with a chemical compound that can only be obtained there could create an internal explosion that would kill the creatures. The protagonist finds it crazy as it seems fictional. The next day they take a van to get to the town's hospital, where they desperately search for the child's oxygen. And there they hear a strange noise, even though the compass detects nothing around. So they go to another room where they finally find what they want, but it's time to run because there's a blinder on the way that won't leave them alone. Will has an idea upon seeing large oxygen tanks. He sends the girl to the stairs to wait for the approaching monster, shooting tanks to make them fly with the blast. The girl now tries persuading him to go to the lab, because even though he doesn't want to take the risk, it's the only chance they'll have to prove that they can indeed kill the blinding ones. So they go to the car without realizing that the one who flew out the window got up again. In a scene change, they arrive at the place to fill the bullets with the substance. However, upon investigating, our protagonist finds the girl's office, along with a photo in which she appears with her family, something nobody knew. So he is given the news that he was there the day everything started, because he chose to stay working instead of going to his son's game, which makes her feel guilty because she couldn't even die with them. Finally, when they test the bullet, they realize it doesn't work either. So Nina asks him to leave so she can save her son, because she won't move from there until she gets what she needs to save the world. In fact, Katie thought that at some point they would have to fight them for their freedom. And since she also believes it, she wants to fight for a better future. Because if they discover how to fight them, it will be enough to raise a flag over the camp. So they can see everything around them, confirming that there is a way to win, so that the whole world will join them to save themselves. So he asks him to leave. In addition, his car is still in the parking lot, so he can return in it. He now spends some time trying various combinations, without much success. After noticing a battery he was working on to boost its power, he attempts one final mix in the bullet, as one of the dryers already contains it. On the other hand, the boy almost reaches the border when he has an accident in the van, which makes him unconscious for a while, which is a problem. Because upon waking up, he must run as fast as possible to escape, since the creatures tracked him, because he is very close. So he leaves the road to take a steep shortcut, but things get complicated because one of them is waiting for him up there, who even calls others to corner him, without being able to do anything to defend himself because he runs out of ammunition before he can harm them. And when all seems lost, Nina arrives like a heroine to save him, because the last mix she tried really works. Because it only takes one bullet to be able to eliminate each one of them. They then realize they are not dealing with living creatures, but machines programmed to eliminate humans without distractions. This confirms the scientist theory, who said that their only function is annihilation, but they still don't know who could have created them for that purpose. In a scene change, both return to the camp to reunite with Hunter, who was just waiting to see his father again, because he was afraid that the same thing that happened to his mother would happen to him. Nina then achieves her objective, raising the pirate flag from her home, allowing the other shelters to witness it as well, so that they spread the word announcing to the world that they found a way to get rid of the blinders. So the mass production of magic bullets begins to supply them to all the camps. At the same time, she uses a corpse of the creatures to examine it, trying to figure out why they have a height limit in which they can survive. Later, she honors her friend's grave with their name carved on a bullet. Without her, he couldn't have finished the mission they began together, prior to joining an expedition team to cross the border. With the difference that it will be the first time they do it, having the advantage of the battle already, since humanity does not have to hide from the same threat. This was Elevation. Don't forget to like, comment on what other movies you want to see on the channel. Subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss the upcoming videos.